Today we are about to learn about a great American city known by several namesake names. The Big D, the city in action, Dallas Inc. One of the great American cities' popularity juxtaposes with some dark history of the Kennedy assassination and its namesake TV drama. Dallas is the one that catapulted Dallas in front of international living rooms audiences some 5 decades ago. The Dallas Metro Division has the 6th largest population in the US with 5 million people. The city has developed a strong industrial and financial sector, as well as becoming a major inland port due to largely to the presence of the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, one of the largest and busiest airports in the world. The city is the home to Dallas Mavericks and Dallas Cowboys, to name a few. Talking to us about the capital state of Texas today is the CEO of Visit Dallas, Craig Davis. Welcome to World Tourism Forum Institute Recovery Town Halls.
Thank you so much, Sumaira.
So let's get started. Dallas in 2019 was voted by Forbes list as the second best places for business and careers. Number 116 in cost of doing business, number 16 in job growth, and number 45 in education. According to Visit Dallas tourism numbers, I think you handle something like up to 25 million people in the city last year, and 49 million visited the Dallas-Fort Worth area before the coronavirus crisis. Hotel occupancy averaged about 69% of the more than 92,000 hotel rooms available in the area. And more than 65,000 people dependent on one direct job in the hospitality industry. Before the pandemic, visitors to North Texas generated an economic input of up to $8.8 billion a year. And then all that changed. Dallas experienced an overall spending decline of 8.6% in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic in March. According to a report by JP Morgan Chase Institute, but in the same report, it also said it still was one of the smallest declines in spending compared to other cities that were studied. What's the outlook for tourism and hospitality moving forward? How is your city and state responding to the current situation?
Well, almost overnight, our occupancies in Dallas went from the middle 80s because our high season was in January, February, March, because everybody wants to go there, come down south to Dallas for those months for meetings and events and business. We went from those occupancies down to single digits, and we have been creeping up since. And it has been a long road, and we're expecting a much longer road ahead of us. We had Tourism Economics did a study specifically to Dallas, and it came back and said that the effect of COVID-19 on us is 9 times worse than the combination of 9/11 and 2008 put together.
Wow.
So they're looking at a 5-year crawl back for us. Now we're going to get our occupancy back, I think, next year, but it's going to take us much longer to get the average room rate in hotels, which affects us greatly. So we're prepared for a long road ahead of us.
Wow. So those are quite a staggering comparison, and that both those crises combined. At the peak of the pandemic, the city turned into a ghost town, and the reality is not lost on your city council, who recently approved a 5-year, $79.3 million contract to jumpstart tourism. But Visit Dallas also had to cut $2 million in programming and $2.5 million in personal costs. How will this funding and subsequent cuts help? And are there any other incentives, waivers expected from the state and the federal government?
Well, the reality was that we had to solve for a almost $5 million hole in our budget for next year. And you just explained the $2 million plus $2.5 million.
Right.
It was very hard to, we had to reduce our workforce at Visit Dallas by about 30% permanently, and another 15% we furloughed them and hope they have them come back as soon as the business justifies it. So it's been we're so glad to get the contract last week because it really was a step forward for us. We have to come back, and we're really, I think, positioned in Dallas to come back relatively quick because we are the big D. People want to go to places that are big and spacious, and that we're still always going to be a hub of business. It's the economy here in Dallas prior to COVID was absolutely at its height, and we expect to get back sooner rather than later.
And Craig, just tell us that the city is in the process of opening up right now.
Yes. Our governor in the United States, it's really been the individual 50 governors of the 50 different states that has determined the way that that particular state opens up. And we have, our Governor Abbott started the process of opening Texas up about 6 weeks ago, or even 8 weeks ago. Post-COVID time is very tough to measure, but he has been slowly but deliberately opening up our economy here. And so our restaurants now can open up to 75%. Our convention center can open to 50%. And our convention center holds 40,000 people. So we can hold 20,000 people conventions.
Right.
So we're actively trying to open it up. Business on the books has lost, obviously, but we are working right now to bring a big convention in, a sporting convention in August, and hopefully that will jumpstart our economy moving forward.
Okay.
So we are opened up.
Okay, that's and I'm glad that you explained that, because we are talking to international audience here, and sometimes they don't understand how US and the politics and the actions around them work. So thank you for explaining that. But when the residents and visitors and meeting and convention attendees are able to return and enjoy the great city, they want to have peace of mind. And Dallas is doing everything it can to create the safest and healthiest environment possible. I believe the city is preparing to open their tourism and hospitality facilities and by bringing in some standards and trying to be one step ahead. And there is an accreditation program being worked upon. Explain to us how Readiness is part of this program. Are you launching further reports and protocols? Can you please elaborate on this? Because therein lies a best practice that other tourism boards can learn from.
Yes. It was the idea of my vice president of sales, Brad Kent. He had a relationship with an international association called International Society of Sanitation, ISSA, International Sanitation Supply Association, excuse me. Okay. And they are based out of Illinois, and they've had their convention here in Dallas in the past.
Okay.
They have a sub-body of the ISSA called the Global Biorisk Accreditation Council. And this is a party that can go into an entity like a building, a convention center, or a hotel and certify that its cleaning practices are up to their standard. And for us, that's a very big reason why people, we think, will start to come back to cities, is if they feel that they're going to be safe and clean. And so Dallas was the first city to have a relationship with ISSA. Other cities have followed, and we're glad about that, because we want the entire world to be safe to travel to. It's in our best interest. But we got out ahead of it a little bit earlier. And right now, both of our airports are in that program, and it's being offered.
How long is the program? I mean,
the program is a certified program.
Yeah.
And so they have to go in and they have to certify with ISSA their cleaning standards, and they have to go through a course to learn how to clean in the way that they believe is the best
online,
suited.
All of this obviously is
yes.
online. Okay.
Yeah.
Because,
and so,
I mean, there is a certain urgency, right? So it's important for the listeners to know that, from start to finish, what's the duration we are talking? Because you want this certification as soon as possible.
Yes. We have about 40 hotels and other entities, including our convention center, including our school system, by the way, that are in this program. And it can take as easy as 3 weeks if they have really great standards currently. And then they'll have it'll be a demarcation on the door. It will be a star that says that they're certified. And that, I think, is something, it's a very big marketing message for Dallas and other cities to reach out to their customers and say, our hotels, our restaurants, our museums, they're all part of this, are all going to be certified by the time you get here.
Right. Okay, that's really good to know, because I was looking for those examples, because there were not too many to be found in May. But now, as we go along into the post virus period, we are seeing more and more cities going for these kind of programs, and I think this is peace of mind for the visitors. So there have been mass cancellations. Your convention center in downtown Dallas, like you said, has a huge capacity, is the magnet for hundreds of events each year. Nearly 180 events scheduled by the convention center have been canceled, with substantial financial losses of $100 million. We're not speaking about the meetings at the convention center only, but all private events were canceled, hotels, weddings, graduations, for instance. If we don't have a convention and visitor scene, this is what it looks like. COVID is what it looks like. We have nothing going on, and that we cannot have. One city council officer has been heard saying that coronavirus pandemic has upended operations and activities across nearly all industries, but meetings and conferences planners face a very daunting reality. What strategy is being applied to protect this vital bloodline of the city?
Well, we have, it's for us, the convention business, it's all about relationships that our convention, our salespeople have, what I have. And the good news is that Dallas has a great reputation as a meeting destination. So for us, it's a safe place already in the minds of our customers. But we have been continually reaching out to our customers in a very passive way over the entire pandemic. But we also know this is big business for our customers. They have to meet. A lot of associations have to meet because that's where their revenue comes from. Yeah. And so we're trying to position Dallas as the best potential place for them. And that GBAC accreditation was the first start in saying, listen, we want to be a safe place for you to come back to. And we do believe that we are well positioned, even just geographically. Dallas, Texas is in the middle of the country. Right. We have two big airports. We have the right infrastructure to be able to support what we need moving forward. And I think that it's just that this is going to go slowly, but it's going to go deliberately in increased numbers of people coming in.
And you're obviously pulling all the industry and all the major associations and meeting planners.
Yes, sporting events.
All onto one, platform. Are there any online webinars or something organized to communicate with the industry?
We have, what we've been doing is we've been reaching out through our salespeople, but we've been also doing some fun things. We've done some happy hour events with our customers on Friday afternoons, and we'll feature a chef here in Dallas. His name is Julian Batardo, and he teaches them how to make a margarita, the best margarita. And then we've also, when spring hit here in the United States and in Canada, we had a guest from our botanical garden talking to our customers about how to start their planting season. So it was not about Dallas, but it had a Dallas flair. So we kept in touch, and we continue to keep in touch with our customers in these creative and unique ways. And we really think, because it's right now, people don't want to be sold. I think that they need their friends and they need their relationships right now. So we've been taking a very passive approach to our customers.
Okay. So let's talk about the hotels. According to the Hotel Association of North Texas, average hotel occupancy in Dallas has fallen to under 10%. And the industry is expected to lose an estimated over, I think, 500,000 or 500 million this year, down from 1 billion hotels generated in 2019. The low occupancy caused 15,000 to 25,000 people who worked in North Texas hotels to lose their jobs. 90% of employees were laid off and occupancy fell to the lowest levels in history. High-end hotels are asking lenders Congress relief as losses mount, and damage is the damage is nationwide, flagged by loan services as millions in coronavirus losses mount. Dallas hotel market could recover more slowly than the nation's, but that doesn't mean new projects should be shelved. What is your message to future investors and ongoing hotel development projects under these circumstances?
Mm-hmm. I think my message is the same as it would be in any city, is that a lot are taking a pause right now. We've had 20 hotels temporarily shut down over the COVID situation, have not opened up yet. Our occupancy is coming back. Actually, I think the last time I looked at it, it was in the 30s, which is a lot better than the single digits. It's still not even close to where we want to be, but it's heading in the right direction. Okay. So my message is that Dallas is always going to be a epicenter for business. Absolutely. It's not just, there are so many Fortune 500 companies that are located here. And I was just actually remarking to a colleague as I was walking down the street on Friday, if you look up in the air here in Dallas, there are so many construction cranes that are still building. And so business is going to move on.
Construction has started again.
Construction started back again. It's still constructing. Hotels are part of that equation as well. It's always going to be a business decision, but Dallas will always be amongst the top 10 cities in the near term to want to look at for business opportunities.
Absolutely. And
in the United States, I mean.
Yeah, in United, and you've also got the oil industries there as well, and some of the major universities are in Dallas as well.
Right, and tech companies, and it's a very balanced group. Yeah,
fantastic. So with consumers canceling or postponing vacations due to COVID-19, staycations may be the best alternate. After analyzing more than 180 cities across the US, the Wallet Hub's new report has Dallas says Plano ranked as 2020's best city for a staycation. Among the top 38 were cities in Texas. Coming in at 36 was Dallas with a score of 54.28. Why is this a silver lining and an important news in this climate of doom and gloom?
Well, it's, as I said before, it's where we're located. We're in the middle of the country, or very close to the middle of the country, and we draw from a big population and from other states around Texas. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Sumaira. The very first group that's going to come back is the staycation people here. We're all sick of being at our own homes, and then the next wave is going to be friends and family. You're going to, when you feel safe to travel, you're going to visit your friends and family. We draw all the way down into Mexico. We draw into Louisiana, into New Mexico. We have a bunch of different states and a bunch of different populations to draw from. And I really feel that that's going to save us in the short term. And then in the long term, it's conventions and meetings coming back. So that's the silver lining, is where we're located, and we're still of value. There's a lot of great product here.
And so that's really like your domestic tourism, so to speak, your locals. Yes. And they're quite affluent. They have, there's a good spending strength there.
There is a good spending strength here. And what I also failed to mention is that we have the largest urban arts district in the United States here. There's the restaurants and the entertainment, and that is all Class A for Dallas. So for us, the draw is people of varied interests. It's a very interesting city, and it's one that people love to come and visit. So we get to use our brand and just project our brand.
And how you, Craig, tell us a little bit about how you're collaborating with your health authorities and so forth, because there is a talk about a second surge, right? It's one thing for people to come out and meet, but at the back of everybody's mind is the second surge. The protests which are taking place currently is not helping the situation at all. And it has got a lot of medical personnel on the edge about a second surge. So are you better prepared this time as a city to handle that?
I don't know if we're better prepared. I wouldn't want to say that. I think that and I talk to my counterparts from all over the the nation, all over the world. And I think everybody has to understand that you have to continue the distance protocols. You have to continue to wear masks, wash your hands. It's all the base stuff that they're saying here at the CDC on a national level. But we have not seen much of a surge here in Dallas, but that could change. And we're preparing ourselves for the potential of a second wave. But I think it's going to be very hard for the government to shut down again. I think that there's been so much damage done to the economy in the long term that I don't know if people will stand for it.
All right. Certainly health is first, but I think the city of Dallas and the state are doing the right thing as far as progressively reopening their tourist attractions. You need your restaurants, museums, zoos, and sports events to be open so you can have the products that people want to visit and can associate themselves with as a normal. Your agency has a big marketing campaign ready to kickstart tourism in Dallas. But why is it too early to launch it? Has it been launched? Because when I was doing my research, I found that it is waiting to be launched. Isn't it time to start spending all of the funding and aid you are receiving? Educate us, as this is something other tourism boards are also grappling with about timing. When is the right time to kickstart some of these activities?
Well, a lot of the hotel companies received aid from our federal government. Destination organizations have not. So we are still living on the money that we have in our reserves and other ways.
Okay.
But having said that, your question is when's the time to start?
Yes.
We've seen occupancies starting to creep back, and we think that our tentative date is actually at the June 20th. So in a couple of days,
okay,
to start the campaign, because we want to be ready for the July 4th Memorial Day weekend and
that's
going forward.
The big one, right? Okay.
Right. So we're still, because of the unrest, the civil unrest that's taken place, we're still waiting to see how that folds out. So we may end up by pushing this back a little bit for summer vacation season.
Okay. All right. Again, it's about timing, right? And so
it is, and making sure people are safe and that there's product to be able to be consumed.
Yeah, because you cannot have it too early as well, because then it'll be considered in bad taste, and you will have.
Yes, it would be. Yeah. And if we don't have, we're not fully open or mostly opened, we don't want to invite people into our house and not have anything for them to do or to eat or to stay. So our hotels, you can definitely have places to stay, but our museums will be back in full force in July as well. So we're trying to time ourselves with the reopening of product here in Dallas.
Right. Your agency ordered a study to measure the impact of the pandemic on the Dallas tourism industry, and the results are not uplifting. You've just mentioned it early on, that you will need about 5 years to return to the booming numbers before the pandemic. But there are some good news as well, which this research has highlighted. Talk to us about that.
Well, it really is that we believe that people will return next year in the third quarter of next year. So getting people back is most of our worry. We want them back. And the rest of the study was meant that hotels, and I come from the hotel world, typically take their average hotel rates down substantially after these types of events. And that's where the problem is going to be. Because when you start to sell your product for a lot less, people won't buy it for more suddenly. So we're trying to ask our hotels to in a nice way to stay the course, because that's where we're really going to have the trouble coming back is gaining that rate back that we had lost prior to COVID.
Right.
But the good news, to your point or to your question, is that we actually will get people back here, we believe, next year at almost the same levels. So that's the silver lining.
At almost the same levels, you feel almost the same levels of 2019, or?
Well, it's 2019 levels. Okay. The other issue that's happening is that there's so much new product opening up in Dallas that's going to weigh in on occupancy rates, because there are new hotels opening up.
Okay.
So supply and demand.
Okay. Well, Craig, thank you very much. On this positive note, I would say you have educated and provided much wider, closer lens to our international viewers in the best practices being applied by yourself that are normally associated with a great American spirit of resilience. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you so much, Sumaira. And I'm honored that you asked me to be on that.
It's been
podcast.
my honor, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you as well. Have a great week.
Thanks.